welcome to FEARS Dialogues, the official podcast of the European project FEARS. Across a series of episodes featuring interviews from 8 different European countries, we delve into insightful conversations, fostering informative discussions that touch upon historical contexts, present challenges, and explore potential future pathways. These FEARS Dialogues traverse topics related to feminist movements, gender equality, women's and LGBTQ+ rights, and the political challenges and solutions unique to each FEARS country or the European Union level.
Everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the FEARS podcast. FEARS is a research project founded by the European Union within the framework of the Horizon program, and it focuses on feminist movements revitalizing democracy in Europe. So basically, the project investigates how feminist movements contribute to redefine the democratic scenario in Europe today, and in particular in the context of the growing strength of anti-gender actors. So I am Anastasia Barone. I'm a postdoctoral research fellow within the FEARS project, and together with me there is my colleague Giada Bonu Rosenkranz, who is also a postdoctoral research fellow within FEARS. Hello, Giada.
Good morning.
And so today we have as our guest Aurora Perego, who is also a postdoctoral researcher who works within one of our sister projects, Ccindle, co-creating inclusive intersectional democratic spaces across Europe. So welcome, Aurora, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Thanks to you for having me.
Okay, so to start, we would like to ask you, Aurora, if you can tell us a bit more about what Ccindle is and what you are doing in your team within this project.
So, as you said before, Ccindle is another European project funded within the Horizon by the European Commission. And what we do is very similar to what you do in FEARS. So basically, the project aims at examining the increase and rise in legitimacy and visibility in the public sphere of anti-gender actors. And we do so by conceiving anti-gender actors and campaigns as a part of de-democratization processes. And in addition to investigating the rising of anti-gender campaigns and actors, we also try to investigate the responses by civil society organizations and institutions. So we somehow work both at the institutional level and at the civil society social movement level. And we try to do so also by co-creating knowledge with both grassroots activists and institutional leaders, so as to see how not only they respond to processes of de-democratization, but also how they contribute to reimagining, re-envisioning democracies. So this is more like in a few words, more or less what we do.
So thank you for introducing the project, and we have a second question, also to discuss a bit like similarities and differences between FEARS and Ccindle. And we would like to ask you to introduce to the audience the context, the Italian context, and also the main features and elements of the feminist movements in Italy, as far as you understood in the first years of the project.
Okay, so well, I think we should start by acknowledging that Italy has had, like, for years, for decades, a very strong autonomous independent feminist movement that emerged a bit before than the 70s. And one of the main features, it's the fact that it has always and almost always been autonomous from state institutions. Then, as you know, the movement has changed. I'm not even sure we can talk about one feminism in Italy right now, but we have multiple feminist fields and feminist struggles. And since 2015 and 17, the movement has been revitalized, inspired by Argentinian movement of Ni Una Menos, as well as other, like trans feminist global strikes. And what has happened so far is that we've been, since 2017, we've been witnessing like an emergence of a very strong, but also like very, how would you say, very rooted, very spread movement all over the country, with more or less grassroots groups that are present basically in every medium-sized city of the country. And I think that one of the what I would say one of the main features of these wave of mobilizations is precisely the fact that with the emergence of Non Una Di Meno, there has been a platform that has been able to respond every time to any attack coming from both institutional and political actors, with the implementation of new policies or the let's say, attempts to oppose policies that should be working, such as the one on abortion, and then maybe we can talk about it a bit more. And also, so I was saying, yeah, on the one hand, respond to attacks by institutional actors, and on the other hand, respond to attacks by other political actors, such as precisely anti-gender actors, but not only. And I think here we get to the second very important feature of Non Una Di Meno and other feminist groups so far, is precisely the fact that this platform has had the capacity to ally and in solidarity with other social struggles that are usually not considered as part of the feminist field and movement, even if we could debate that too, but also like bringing to the forefront migrants issues, being, for instance, in solidarity with Gaza and what is going on in Palestine so far, precarious workers, environmental issues, so animal rights. I think that so far what we have been witnessing in these years is precisely this capacity to respond very systematically to attacks going on field, and to ally with other actors, not only, I wouldn't say in short-term coalitions, but in very sustained and deep-rooted alliances.
Yeah, thank you very much for this overview, which actually resonates pretty much with the reflections we are also having within the Italian team of the FIERCE project. And you mentioned that there have been some specific issues that have become particularly contested, and on which the movement has faced the strongest attacks, let's say, from the part of both anti-gender actors and other political actors. Can you tell us, based on your research and experience, which are the issues that have represented the most a terrain of contention and of conflict for the movement?
In the last couple of years, let's say.
Exactly, yes.
I would say maybe we have two main dimensions, which are, however, not one opposed to the other, but they complement each other. So on the one hand, we have attacks to abortion rights, reproductive rights in general, not only in attacks to women's self-determination, such as the right to abortion, cis women's self-determination, but also in attacking the LGBTQIA people's rights in general, such as attacks to surrogacy and gestational surrogacy overall. So what has happened so far is that let's say in collaboration with anti-gender actors, the current government has been trying to implement some policies. For instance, one policy is it's called Listen to Your Fetus. And what they're trying, well, it's still a proposition, it's not a law yet. What they would like to do is to oblige women and people that are in gestation to listen to their fetus heartbeat before deciding to have an abortion. And this has been inspired by some laws going on in both Hungary and Poland, if I'm correct. So I think we can also see how anti-gender actors, somehow take inspiration and collaborate also at the transnational level. And then we've had, so this is an attempt to reduce women's access, not access, but right to abortion as well as self-determination. At the same time, we've had, this has been very recent in the last few months. So there has been like a minor legislative change allowing regions, so at the regional level, to have pro-life organizations in, I don't know how to say that in English, consultori. I think it's
Health centers.
Health centers. And this means that basically once more, people that would like to have an abortion will have to deal with these people, with pro-life organizations, before being able to actually have an abortion. And what has happened so far is that a law that was already not very well functioning because of some very structural, I mean, this law was actually implemented in the 70s, right? So it had to adjust to the context in which it was implemented, and 40 years have passed. And what is going on so far is that basically we have this possibility for a gynecologist to decide not to have an abortion, not to perform an abortion, sorry, because of their consciousness. So we call it, it's an objection. They have the right to object because they declare themselves as Catholics and they do not want to perform abortions because it's against their beliefs. So what happened so far is that we had already this situation in which several regions are not able to provide free access to abortion and safe abortion, because we have a huge number of gynecologists that do not want to perform abortions. On top of that, and that was already like a structural problem of the law, on top of that, now we have pro-life organizations in health centers, and also this new, hopefully not passing, law of listening to your heartbeat. And I think that that is a huge attack to abortion access, abortion right, and self-determination overall. And this is the first line of what is going on. In addition to that, or at the same time, the government, and what I wanted to say with respect to abortion is also the fact that all of these, let's say, attempts of legislation and policies have been framed by the current government under this idea that they do not want to oppose abortion. They want to enhance motherhood. So we have like this, I think it's very important to notice how these attempts are framed. So we are not anti-abortion, we are pro-life, we are pro-family, and we are pro-mothers. So in fact, we are feminists because we want to support women who want to have children. So this is the framing going on beneath these legislative attempts. And then on the other hand, and I think, it's not actually on the other hand, but it's, as I was mentioning before, like articulating, we have attacks to gestational surrogacy, which so far the parliament will probably discuss a bill that will frame surrogacy as a universal crime. What does it mean? So the current situation in Italy is that surrogacy is not legal. So same-sex couples, or even heterosexual couple that want to have children through surrogacy and other gestational or assisted reproductive techniques, what they do is they go abroad, they have children, they come back, and then they register the birth certificate of their children with the names of both parents on that, even if it's not illegal, it's not even legal, it's a sort of gray area. And so far, what has happened is that specific municipalities and regions have been over the years registering the birth certificates of their children under both parents' name. I think it was 1 year ago or 1.5 years ago, the government basically issued a directory so as to prevent and stop these municipalities to register the birth certificates under both names. And this directory is supposedly reactive. Well, it's diachronic.
Retroactive.
Yeah, retroactive. Thank you. So basically, they would like to not to have the names of both parents, but only of the supposedly biological parent on the birth certificate of the children. And in certain cases, these kids, are not kids anymore. They're like 15, 17 years old. And that means that basically if something happens to one of their parents, the other parent doesn't have parenthood rights anymore. And this again, has been stopped so far. So it's under trial. Let's say judges should decide whether this directory will have to take place or not. But again, I think we see like a very strong attempt to attack reproductive rights so as to attack the very existence of LGBTQIA+ people and families. And then the third line, and after that, I think I'll stop with very bad news, are attacks to trans people's rights, in particular to gender affirmation paths for adolescents. Again, we have a law with respect to gender affirmation path that was issued, now I don't remember exactly, but I think it was in the 80s or at the end of the 70s. Was it at the end of the 70s? And again, the law, was adapted to the context in which it was implemented. Several years have passed, several organizations and activists have been asking for, an update of the law for ages. And what is going on now is that basically the government, the parliament, has issued some interrogations, so inspections, investigations, to one specific clinic that is one of the biggest clinics in the country to take care of gender affirmation paths for adolescents. So far, this is what has happened, but there have been other attempts to, for instance, not allow or the circulation of hormones anymore. Investigation on hormones specifically, under the idea that they are a threat to people's health. So these attacks to trans people's rights and gender affirmation paths are framed under the fact that we want to protect our children. We want to make sure our children are aware of what they do, or our children, they shouldn't have any gender affirmation path unless they are 18. And so this whole idea is the protection of children from these, supposed gender ideology that indoctrinates people to becoming trans. And also this idea that we are safeguarding people's health. So I think this is more or less the situation so far. Not very good.
Thank you for this in-depth overview, even if it's not very good. And actually, we found a lot of similarities with the FIS project. Like something that resonates quite a lot is when you were talking about how they react, how they talk about abortion and this shift in the narrative on abortion. So we're not against abortion, but we are pro-motherhood and so on. And this is really a sort of affirmative shift in the narrative on abortion. Is quite interesting. And what we understand from your from what you were saying is that in a way, gender and sexuality are more and more central in a debate on democracy. And we were interested in understanding what do you mean by inclusive intersectional democratic spaces. That is kind of one of the key aspects of the Ccindle project. And so maybe we will ask you to elaborate a bit more on this concept.
I think it's one of the core aspects of Kindle, this idea of this also will and aim to both see how anti-gender campaigns work, pass me the term, intersectionally, meaning they co-articulate with other exclusionary discourses and politics so as to target certain sectors of the population, marginalized sectors of the population. Because I think that one of the issues that I didn't mention before is also the fact that, we are witnessing like a rise in femo-nationalist rhetoric, not only by this government, but also in the Italian public sphere to tour. So this idea that our cis hetero women need to be protected by racialized people who are usually not only migrants, but also Muslim. So we have these like racist, Islamophobic narratives and discourses going on, and they co-articulated, and they are, I wouldn't say not only taken up, but also like reproduced by anti-gender actors themselves. So what we try to see on the one hand is how, gender and exclusionary discourses on gender and sexuality co-articulate together with other discourses on race, for instance, on class, on able-bodiedness, and so on and so forth. So this very, like very strong idea coming from Black feminism that you cannot look at one device without looking at others. You cannot understand how gender works so as to marginalize people without looking at how a race works so as to marginalize other people. And this is the first aspect of the project. And the second one, actually, I think builds on this very idea that if inequalities and power hierarchies co-articulate each other, then responses can also co-articulate. So this aim to look at intersectional inclusive spaces of democracy builds on the idea that we could problematize liberal democracies for being exclusionary and intersectionally exclusionary of several sectors of the population. And we could reimagine them so as to be able to form intersectional alliances. Basically, inclusion does not work without intersectionality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, actually. So we are coming toward the conclusion of our dialogue, but before concluding, we would like to ask you if you want to tell us what are the main issues you are currently working on within the Kindle project and with your team, which are the, say, more recent perspectives you're working on.
So in the Italian team, I think I would also like to mention the other two people that are part of the Italian team, who are Elena Pavan and Olivia Burchietti. And so far we have been working on the, let's say, lines of fractures within Italian feminism between trans feminist activists and anti-trans feminist activists. And we're trying to see, to what extent anti-trans feminist activists, at least at the ideological and discursive level, converge with anti-gender actors, especially with respect to their opposition to trans rights, and to what extent they don't. So this is what we are examining so far. And we are also currently doing interviews with Italian trans feminist activists. So over the last year, we mainly focused on institutions and members of the parliament. And right now we are interviewing activists so as to see, on the one hand, how they respond to these co-articulating attacks, and on the other hand, how they reimagine, if they reimagine democracy.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Aurora. It was very nice to have this dialogue with you, and I'm sure we will have other occasions to work together. We would like to remind everyone that both Fierce and Kindle can be followed on social media on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. And you can also check both websites. And that's it. We thank you all very much, and thanks again, Aurora.
Thanks to you for having me, and I'll bring the greetings from the whole Kindle project.
Thank you. Bye.
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 FEARS, Engendering Democracy. FEARS project has received funding from the European Union's Horizon Europe Research and Innovation Programme.